Hello, Hat-Tricks fans. We welcome you back inside the Hat-Tricks Lounge here at the Danbury Ice Arena. Doug Lattuca with co-head coach and alternate captain Kyle Gonzalez this week on Hat-Tricks Weekly. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Just kind of working hard throughout the week and getting prepared for the weekend here coming up.
Bit of a tough weekend for the team down in Wytheville, Virginia. 2 losses, were outscored 11-3. What were your overall takeaways from those games?
Yeah, obviously far from where the expectations lie within this organization, and far from the effort and results that we expect from our team. Heading down to Wytheville, long road trip, but we leave a day early, so no excuses there. We just thought the effort wasn't there this weekend, and obviously the results showed in that.
That first game in Wytheville, you guys changed up the forward lines. Maybe for the first time, all 3 forward lines were different in the game. You were coming off back-to-back wins against the Venom here at home. What went into the decision to change some things up? I know there were a couple of come-from-behind wins against the Venom. Maybe it wasn't the game that you were hoping for, despite picking up some of those points.
Yep. Yeah, as far as the decision-making and the lines and things like that, we always try and just honestly be honest with ourselves and the team and put on the ice what we feel is the best product for that specific game. And, we felt, mixing up the lines a little bit, whether if it's moving some guys up or moving some guys down within the lineup, we were kind of looking for a little spark and trying to get a little bit extra out of, the guys that were involved within the movement up and down the lineup.
Yeah, it's a very unfamiliar scene between the Bobcats and Hat-Tricks, a very short history, just 2 games prior to last weekend. You won both of them last year. Completely different arena than it was this season. There was snow that first Friday night. Do you think that might have played into it? There were really no fans there that first game because of the weather, unfamiliar situation and scenario being there.
Yeah, playing an unfamiliar foe, and you can talk about the weather and the no fans and this and that, but being where we're at in our careers, there's an expectation that lies within each and every single game, whether if there's 3,000 people there or whether if there's mom and dad there in the stands. It doesn't matter. We expect the same effort from everybody day in and day out, and that's plain and simple.
What's the message to the team when things aren't quite going well? What's your approach to it as somewhat of a newer coach, this your first year in that co-head coach role?
Yeah, we genuinely feel in that locker room over there we have all the skill in the world and what it takes. We believe it's solely coming down to just the nitty-gritties as far as making the decision to bring full effort every single night. Whether if it's complacency or comfortability, we're trying to shake that out of everyone and make sure everyone's bringing their full potential. Even in practice starting on Monday this week, we've had a hell of a week, a battle week, and we're kind of trying to instill that mindset moving forward throughout the rest of the season.
You had 5 defensemen dressed on Saturday. Then you lost a defenseman midway through due to an injury, so you're only going down to 4. This is an area that you take pride in. You are a defenseman, one of the top defensive defensemen in the league, big part of the Hat-Tricks championship run. How does it affect you when you have 5 to start with, you're already down 1, and then you lose a guy midway through and things seem like they're not going in the right direction?
Yeah, starting off with 5 at the beginning of the game, you're already in that mindset that it's going to be a work day, even more than already a hockey game is. So starting with 5 is tough, and then losing 1 more throughout in the middle of the game due to an injury, it's even harder, as you can imagine. But to an extent, playing so much, you kind of get into like a little bit of a flow state, but at the end of the day, we'd love to have everyone dressed that we have within our roster. We just have to make sure, we're getting the best out of everyone every single night.
You mentioned this is a work week for you guys. It was a hard week in practice. Of course, it's not the end of the world. It's just back-to-back losses. It's happened before.
Right.
Are the fixes in practice based on simple things, more complex? We're about halfway through the season, so my thoughts are it's probably just a couple of tweaks here and there. The whole formula is the same, just has to be better execution.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there, Doug. It is pretty much the same formula, even the same formula that Billy's instilled in Johnny and I's first year here. We're still trying to implement the same thing. Obviously, the game changes, and the game has changed since our first year here. So obviously, trying to always implement and continue to build, our systems within, the realms of the new and improved game. But nothing's really changed at this point in time. Like you said, it is just pretty much small tweaks, and right now our small tweak is just choices within our efforts. That's all it is.
You've been part of one of the best teams in FBHL history, won the Cup. This team has been up and down. There have been some positives, there have been some negatives. This your first year at the helm with Johnny and with Matt. Where would this team rank chemistry-wise? How are things coming along? Is the bond there as you guys continue to make the push for the playoffs?
Absolutely. Each and every single season comes to an end, I always think I'm never going to find a team as close as this one. And then the new year rolls around and you fall in love with the guys that walk into the room. So the chemistry within that room is bar none. The guys absolutely love each other. They'd run through a brick wall for each other. Absolutely. So everything in the room is good. It's amazing. As far as the on-ice product, it's just as small as just simple details. Just understanding different switches and understanding different covers and things like that. But I keep saying it, Doug. It just comes down to effort. That's all it is. Effort.
All about effort. On the power play, the beginning of the season, there were some hiccups on that end of things. More recently, though, it had been a strong suit. It seemed like you guys were scoring power play goals almost every game. This past weekend had no success. Was there something specific that you saw that wasn't going well, or was it similar to the beginning of the year where the bounces just weren't going your way?
We don't like to make excuses in that room over there, but if you want to talk about bounces, we didn't score a power play goal this weekend, so obviously the bounces didn't go our way. You had mentioned the power play was kind of struggling a little bit before, and credit to those guys is sticking with it and kind of turning the corner and improving a little bit. But as far as this weekend, it just kind of felt as if the game in itself, we weren't getting the bounces, and then that trickles into the power play, and you saw the goals this weekend. You were there. Just some unfortunate bounces off skates, this and that. So nothing's going to change on that power play. They're just going to keep working and improving, and credit to those guys for sure.
And how do you keep the team's morale up, the head up, after you might give up 1 or 2 goals early on, and when you're in a stretch where you feel like you're not getting the bounces or not having the success that you believe that you should have based on a good week of work?
Yeah, and that's the most frustrating thing we're kind of going through with this team. We all believe that we're a really skilled team. We have what it takes to win. It's just coming down to the bounces and how we handle the uncontrollables. We have a fairly young team, and a lot of half the battle with hockey is mental and understanding. Just because something happened in your first or second shift or the first period and it didn't go your way doesn't mean the rest of the game has to go downhill for you. So kind of slowly, turning the mindset of guys to understand when we need more, sometimes that means do less. Sometimes we preach here, less is more. Just make sure you're doing your job, and you're doing your job to the fullest, and the end result should be there.
The other side of special teams, seems like whenever I'm calling some of these games, the bulk of the goals are scored on special teams, and for you guys are second in the league in shorthanded goals. But the penalty kill has been an area where we have pointed out areas of lapses. You have surrendered goals. Maybe that's just, they had one shot that went in on the power play and the rest was looking good. Is that an area, how do you fix that? How do you make it simple where instead of it being a 1 for 6 night for the other team, you're getting that 0 for 6
right,
and coming out of it perfect on the penalty kill?
Yeah, with the penalty kill, it's fun to be on the penalty kill because you have to actually outwork and outsmart the opposing power play unit, and so we have been struggling a little bit on the penalty kill. And that's something we continuously try and focus on and look at film. Obviously implementing the right personnel as well. We feel like we're slowly honing in on the right people to be part of the penalty kill. But it just comes down to just passion and heart and making sure you're getting in the blocking shot lanes, making sure sticks in the right positions, and obviously making sure MC, Frankie, or LaRusso, or whoever's in that doesn't have to make too hard of a save. Not
to compare your career to mine, but I also enjoyed penalty kill in my illustrious roller hockey career. It was my favorite part of practice. I love the penalty kill.
That's awesome.
To this upcoming weekend, starts have been a point of emphasis this season. it seems like when you guys get off to a good start, the crowd is into it, you guys are feeling good.
Yep.
More recently, other teams have jumped out
Yep.
to leads.
Yep.
You have come back, which this season has not happened quite often, going to a third period,
Yep.
trailing. A little bit different than last year where we were calling you guys the comeback kids, and that was sort of the formula to winning.
Right.
How do you take control of the first 5 minutes of a game and stamp your type of game on it?
Yeah. We've kind of been talking about this a lot in practices and in just team meetings, and we genuinely feel like the beginning of games are a direct correlation and reflections of how our practices start. So if we come out to practice and we're doing simple passing drills, and a few guys may not be mentally dialed right away, and we're missing 5-foot passes, we're missing 10-foot passes, and before you know it, 10-15 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden we're starting to connect. That's the same thing that happens at the beginning of the game. So we're working on changing the mindset and changing the understanding of the amount of effort that needs to happen from the moment that clock starts. Doesn't matter what happens to the moment that clock stops. So it's got to start from the hop right away.
We're approaching the midway point of the season. Standings are tight in both the divisions, specifically in the Empire. You guys are right on the tails of a couple of teams trying to get that first round or wild card bye. It's very early, of course, to be talking about playoffs, but at this point, you don't want to fall too far behind.
Yep.
Matt Voidy was talking about taking the next step.
Yep.
What does that look like? How do you guys elevate your game to take the next step in preparation for playoff hockey?
Yeah. Slowly starting to understand and look at every weekend as a playoff weekend. So let's hypothetically say we drop Friday night. Saturday night must be a win, or else we're eliminated from playoffs. So everything we're talking about in the room with our systems, our efforts, the weekend games and the results, all starting to base and correlate to the playoff hockey. With playoffs coming around the corner, we have to continue to grow as a team and continue to hone in the details and make sure we're ready to go.
Seems like Fridays have not been as successful as Saturdays, just record-wise. Not sure if you guys have noticed that or seen it as a coaching staff or even players.
Yep.
Is that something that you guys have figured out? Is it something strange about a Friday compared to a Saturday, where if you lose Friday, it's like, all right, we better get some points here on a Saturday, or is it just how the games have fallen?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. Obviously, you lose Friday night with that kind of mindset of Saturday is a must win. Obviously, you're coming out with a little extra jump, a little extra step, but that's unacceptable. That same step, that same mindset, that same tenacity, all of that needs to happen Friday night. So it's something we've looked at. It's something we see. It's just a matter of honing that in as well.
It's been an exciting and competitive season series so far with the Motor City Rockers.
Yep.
They come in for 2 games this weekend. How critical is it to get the crowd into it early, jump out in front, and sort of, take the pace in this game and just welcome yourselves back to Danbury, get back to your game?
Yeah, especially with the team coming from that far, I'm not sure what their travel situation is, but it's never easy traveling like that and then getting into a game. So we have to make sure we're in their face right away, like you talked about, getting the crowd into it right away, and most importantly, getting ourselves and individually getting ourselves into the game as well. So we've kind of been implementing, a few team goals to start off and make sure we hit within the first 10 minutes, which would result in everyone kind of being involved with the game, whether if it's making sure you have a shot and a hit within the first 10 minutes, or making sure you've thrown the body or done something good to be effective in the game within the first 10 minutes to get you dialed for the rest of the game.
Do a fill in the blank for this weekend.
Oh boy.
Gonzo, your expectations for this weekend are?
2 wins.
2 wins. That would be 6 points. That would be pretty big for the Danbury Hat-Tricks this weekend. They host the Motor City Rockers on Friday and Saturday. We've got promos up the wazoo. It's all over DanburyHattricks.com. If you're a fan, if you're a person and you're breathing, you probably fit within one of the categories that we have for our promos this weekend. There's a lot going on. All the information at DanburyHattricks.com, including New Haven Hockey Night. You guys will be wearing the Beasts of New Haven jerseys.
Yep.
This wasn't a part of my questioning, but You excited to put that jersey on?
Yeah, I just saw the mock-ups of them. They look pretty sweet. Obviously, wearing the logos and the colors of a team that's built the history in this area is always an honor. So anytime we get to do a night like that, we're super thankful that management does that for us, and obviously for the people that instilled that for us before us. So thank you.
Yeah, lots of rich history in New Haven. Those jerseys are up for auction right now as we speak, and it ends Saturday night, 9 p.m. through Dash. We hope to see you this weekend, 2 games against the Motor City Rockers. Thanks, Kyle.
My pleasure. Thank you.